This is LBC 97.3.
Motorists face being left heavily out of pocket soon because of government moves to cut its own legal bills. Drivers could fall victim to reforms, which will see people who are acquitted by the courts expected to foot the majority of their own defence costs. It could mean that some innocent drivers will plead guilty to reduce their own costs instead. Let's get more on this now from Jeanette Miller, who's a motoring offence lawyer. Good afternoon, Jeanette.
Hi, Jim.
When could this come about, this change?
Well, the change is due to be implemented on the 31st of October. It's as a result of a consultation which first started back in November 2008 by the Ministry of Justice. And there were a number of organisations invited to respond to that consultation. I believe there were 93 who did, and something like 95% of those were overwhelmingly opposed to the government's plans. Now, despite that, they have decided to effectively ignore the opposition that was raised and introduce this new regime without any parliamentary debate, and that they're introducing the statutory instrument basically kind of under the radar. So I began a petition back in September as soon as the petition site, the number 10 site, was open to start new petitions. It's now attracted almost 18,000 signatures. And I'm pleased to say that an early day motion has been lodged by Mr. Henry Bellingham MP for a parliamentary debate on the issue. So hopefully, even if the rules are implemented in the 31st of October, it's possible for them to be annulled retrospectively, and it looks like the support that we're gaining may well achieve that.
Do we have any idea how much the government would save themselves if they did implement this change? I
personally think they won't. I think they will end up spending more money. They're looking to save £20 million per year, which, when you look at it against various other budgets, that wouldn't even fund the NHS for a day. The actual proposals are based on a number of misconceptions, and effectively what I believe would happen in the future if these rules do come in is that there will be a massive increase in spending in other sectors. There will be significant increases in the budget for the CPS, where as at the moment, if the CPS have behaved in such a way that you could apply for an order that they pay your costs, most solicitors won't necessarily bother to do that if they think they're going to get the cost back from the court at the end of the case when somebody's acquitted. In future, I think there'll be many, many more applications made against the Crown Prosecution Service, which will probably serve to increase expenditure well beyond the £20 million they're seeking to save.
Now, if you're reasonably well off, then you could just maybe choose to plead guilty, or if you're really rich, then you could choose to defend yourself. But if you're not rich, then this would be really bad if it went ahead.
Yeah, I mean, effectively, I've used the terminology, it's like trial by bank balance. If you're rich, then you may well be able to afford to secure a lawyer and damn the consequences. Even if you are found not guilty and you don't get your money back, it doesn't really matter to you. There are very few people that I come across in that situation where the reimbursement of fees isn't an issue to them. And I represent people fairly frequently who will borrow money from friends or actually take out a loan or put the fees on credit cards or other credit facilities because they want to fight something on a point of principle. And effectively, their primary objective, obviously, is to be found not guilty. But secondary to that is to recover the funds that they have spent in achieving that result. And I just think it's grossly unfair. And unfortunately, this issue has fallen under the radar because many people don't understand it, or they don't think it'll affect them. I've got some statistics of how many people were prosecuted in the Magistrates' Court in 2007. There were 1.4 million. And of that 1.4 million, just for motoring offences, and this does apply to all offences, but motorists will be most affected, 26% of prosecutions were unsuccessful. So that's around 400,000 people were found not guilty. And it will mean that around 400,000 people, if they do continue to defend their cases, will be left significantly out of pocket. And it's just not fair.
And clearly, a lot of people have shown a lot of interest in this. You mentioned the consultation didn't really get much of a response, but you've had thousands of people taking part in this petition.
Yes, the consultation got a response from a number of organisations that are affected, the Criminal Bar Association, the Association of British Drivers, my own organisation, the Association of Motor Offence Lawyers. The petition, however, is obviously signed by individuals, and it has attracted thousands of signatures, ranging from QCs who are well aware of these issues, right down to just the ordinary motorist who can see that it's going to cause great unfairness. People will accept penalties because it's not commercially viable for them to fight something when they know they're not going to get their money back even if they're found not guilty.
And if someone's listening to this, is there anything they can do? Should they sign the petition?
Yes, there's lots that people can do to help. First of all, if they could sign the petition, it can be found on the AMOL website, which is www.amol.uk.com. And if they click on the link on the homepage, that takes you right through to the Number 10 website. In addition to that, we're about to post a template letter for people to send to their own MP in the hope that they will persuade their MP to sign the early day motion, which is an EDM. We need as many MPs to sign this early day motion if the matter is to be debated in Parliament. And I think something as important as this, that's going to affect such a huge sector of society, really needs to be debated in Parliament. It's grossly unfair that something that's been strongly opposed is being introduced despite that opposition without any kind of debate.
LBC 97.3.